Refabricate means to reinvent and repurpose, to renew and repair. We're so excited to release Refabricate, a magazine focused on clothing circularity in North Carolina. This issue features 6 organizations and the inspiring people behind them who all share a passion for sustainable fashion and the reduction of textile waste. Discover with us all the unique ways that these organizations are building a greener future for fashion. The Refabricate team and I hope that you feel inspired to seek out similar organizations within your own communities. I'd like to dedicate this issue to our planet and to all the individuals working to make it a place where we can call home for generations to come.
My name is Zeynep. I am a water marbling artist. It's traditional Turkish art. We call it Ebru. So basically I just designed the color top of the water solution, and we have special tools to use and then design it and transfer to paper or canvas or fabric. I create this dress with the water marbling art. So I designed on the water and made a canvas art and took the picture and transferred to garments. So for now, I'm doing fabric marbling. I took a course about circular fashion and design, and one day my professor was talking about her outfit from Lina. Lina is in Netherlands fashion library. So I just searched it up, and then I was like, oh, there's nothing here in North Carolina. Why don't we here? So why don't we start in North Carolina too? And I was like, I searched it up and reached out to Kristin. She's the head of Circular Triangle. So, and we started working together.
Circular Triangle is a grassroots organization, that means all volunteer, group that works towards encouraging a circular economy in the Triangle, our community. A circular economy is one that's very different than what we're used to. So a lot of what we consume right now is what we would call a linear economy. So you take it from the earth, you use it for whatever, and then you throw it in the trash. It's a straight line. A circular economy imagines where products and services are designed so that they can either be reused indefinitely, their components can be recycled in some way and maintain the value, which is not how most recycling works now. So it's kind of a very broad idea of how products and services could work. We have an extraordinary quantity of textile waste. It's almost 8% of our municipal waste streams, so that means 8% of the trash in cities is clothing and shoes, basically. It's also responsible for up to 10% of global carbon emissions on the other side, on the manufacturing side. It's an extremely polluting industry. So we see a lot of need to recirculate clothing locally. And the Fashion Library is a really big part of that. So our programming tries to address textile waste and manufacturing all throughout the supply chain. So one of the first things you can do is to stop getting people to buy so much stuff. That's the goal of the Fashion Library. You're renting instead of buying. It still gives you the opportunity to expand your closet without having to buy something else.
You can grab something from the Fashion Library. I don't need to clean it up. I can use only 3 weeks and then return it. You can return it after 3 weeks and then enjoy, just enjoy. I think it's so cool to use a local designer in the Fashion Library and then keep the clothing circulating that way. It's sustainable.
A lot of sustainable fashion is expensive because there is a lot of manual labor that we do not value in our clothing right now. So there's a reason that it costs so much, and we support designers charging what they feel like they need to charge. That said, it is an accessibility issue. The Fashion Library items are rentable for a suggested donation of $15 for 3 weeks. It's a great way to access really cool pieces that you couldn't afford otherwise.
Whenever I put this dress or another piece of garment created by water marbling art, people like stop me and then they ask me, where did you get this? And I feel like for now I can say from the Fashion Library. You can't find anywhere. This is only in Fashion Library. So yeah, that's the unique part.
Everything we get in, we reuse. Nothing goes to the landfills, nothing's wasted. It's all recycled or given to people or sold to people who could rewear it. With the stuff that can't be reworn, it is shredded up and made into rags that clean your houses, sometimes seats of cars, sometimes mattresses. The shoes are shredded up and made into new shoes or rubber wood chips on playgrounds or tracks at high schools. So everything from top to bottom is used. It just depends where it goes. In 2011, this is where we first originally started in Durham. These are some of our bins. We spend most of our money updating our bins. We have them out in people's parking lots. We want to make them look the best we can. Some spots we hit multiple times a day because the bins fill up multiple times in that day. So we hit them twice, 3 times a day just to keep them empty. At this location, we have 14 trucks that go out every day. So every night they unload 14 trucks. Each truck brings back anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 pounds a route. So about 50 to 60,000 pounds a day out of this warehouse. We go in a 250 to 300 mile radius. So we cover most of North Carolina. So when our trucks come back, they unload them into these carts and then the carts are weighed so we know how much poundage we're bringing in every day. The numbers that you see on the sacks is what each sack individually weighs. That's how we know how to keep track of how much we're putting on the containers, sending out. So we keep the shoes away from the clothes and we weigh those separately so we know how much clothes we bring in versus how much shoes we bring in. And then it all gets baled by the baling machines over here. We just bundle it up in a bale and send them all out. We send out about 43,000 pounds on one container and we do about 90 containers a month. It goes to a grading facility. They grade it A through D, A being the best. That's the stuff that people can rewear. D being the lowest. It might have holes in it, big stains that you can't get out of. So that's the stuff that's shredded up and made into new clothes. If I rip this open, it's still pretty good quality clothing. So instead of this going to the landfill and no one benefits from it, we'd rather get it to the people who need it. That we only collect 20% of the market in the United States. The other 80% is still going to the landfill. So it's something we're really trying to teach the economy about, is to rather recycle it than to throw it away. With our bins that we have, like I was saying before, it's all about accessibility. I could have bins in multiple parking lots to where there only might be a few donation stores along the way. So it's easier access for people to use. And as of right now, I said 80% still goes to the landfill. That's because it's easier access to throw it in your garbage can rather than to leave from your house with it and donate or recycle it somewhere else. So it's something we're trying to teach everybody about.
Peace sign, a little hope, a little wish. I think that's what we're all about.
I just grew up in this community when I was a small child and came back here about 5 years ago, and this store, which when I was a child was a Trip store, it was a gas station. It was for rent, so I decided it needed to be something, and it's evolved and it continues to evolve. But it's really about community.
We've had lots of people come and make it a space that people come back to, and we have gatherings, but I think the through line has been the clothing.
And clothing in particular is so short-lived in fashion and that kind of thing. But it's really about taking natural fibers and things that are really good and finding another way to use it. While a lot of people think that this is just something that suddenly people in their 20s are concerned about, it's not at all true, because there's a world of people all around here of all ages who are quite concerned about the planet. It's literally from 8 to 80, the people who come in here and hang out, and I love that. And that's really what Trip Store is all about. Anything that can be reused again, it's really that we try to have a place for it and then hope that we can find a use for it. I'll take canvases and repaint and paint over them, or the scrap wood that's come from a job. I tell all the construction people, save that because we can use it for signs or whatever else needs to be done. But, you know, find a jacket and then find some buttons and find some patches and find some thread and just have fun. It's already there, so we might as well find some way to use it again and tell a different story. You know, take a pair of blue jeans and paint them or whatever. it's limitless what you can do. And that's the thing that's so exciting about clothing.
It's an opportunity for us to reach into our own community and bring people from many different backgrounds together.
It's just another opportunity to share the goods. Like we've got the libraries outside, and we've got the little free pantry, and we have a little free art gallery out there now too.
I think that's something we've also learned too, is that the generosity is so community-wide, because we show up in that art gallery out there has been filled with someone making bracelets now for months. Someone has come by, we don't know who it is, they restock it, they remake them, they make these handmade.
Yeah, all kinds of different things.
And they leave them out there, and they're all different. This one is, everybody has their own journey. And
mine says, gone to Carolina in my mind.
And they leave them out here, and it just fosters this sense of, you don't know what you're going to find, but you also know someone's intentionally touching this and making it and gifting it forward. They don't know who's going to end up with it, but it's that accessibility and that generosity that has been the driving force of Trip Store. And it's obviously in clothing and the things you see on the walls, but it's in the spirit and the way that the community has like shared this space. We have an emporium of fun and funk.
That's right. You never know what will walk through the door, who will walk through the door, and what will bring through the door.
I'm Arlo Estel, and I am a co-founder of Hempsmith Clothing Company. I am very grateful to my brother, Zephyr, and so he came up with this whole concept back in 2015. He was in high school, we both were, and he just took a hemp shirt. It was the blue leaf tee was one of his first designs, and he just embroidered a little leaf on it, and he called it Hempsmith, and it was kind of like almost a joke, you know, it was very like low-key, and I think he bought like 10 shirts maybe, and sold them to his buddies, and it was just kind of a cool concept, but he never really like took it too seriously. And then in 2016, Zephyr passed away. He died of a heroin overdose out in Colorado, and like my life was shook, and it was shocking. And I remember within that first week, I was like, wow, I think I could take this and run with it. And then in 2020, we built this place, and we call this the Hempsmith Atelier, which is a designer's workshop. And this is where we make all of our clothing. We do all of our tie-dyes and our screen printing in-house here. That's a big part of Hempsmith, is I feel like we are changing the narrative. That's like really big. Like, of course, we are displacing synthetic fibers, and we are making hemp cool, and that's really sweet. But the big one is we are changing the narrative. So like, we are demonstrating that there is a different way of being, and I think that can apply to anything that goes beyond fashion. You know, it's like, how can we grow our own food and feed ourselves? Like, how can we run our like societies? You know, like, we can do it in a restorative nature. It doesn't have to be this extractive, like polluting way of being. So we are changing that, and it's a lot of fun as well. At Hempsmith, we are the clothing brand, and so we source the blank hemp garment, and then we do the branding in-house. So we call this the thread shop, and this is where we're doing all of our embroidery. Now I'm probably doing 10 hours of embroidery a week or something, and we do a lot of hats, a lot of dress shirts and t-shirts. Everything's a blend of industrial hemp, usually about 55%, blended with organic cotton. And so both of those fibers are natural fibers, so they will biodegrade. We're using the hemp fiber in our clothing, and so the nature of the hemp material is it's a renewable resource, so it grows, it's a plant. It's also known to be fairly low impact because hemp grows so quickly and so tall that you can harvest a whole lot of material off of a little bit of land with very little input. So hemp is a great alternative to synthetic fibers and conventional cotton. So we say ancient fiber, fresh style. There's a rich history with the hemp fiber. So the word canvas actually is derived from the word cannabis because all canvas was made out of industrial hemp back in the day. It has a similar leaf shape as marijuana. It's in the cannabis family, but it's not marijuana, it's like a cousin, so they're related. But this grows a lot like bamboo, and so then they cut it and they let it rest in the field, and there's a process called retting where they let the stalk kind of degrade a bit and open up so that they can access the fibers, and then it gets decorticated and spun into a yarn, and from that you can weave or knit it into a fabric, and from there it's cut and sewn into a garment, and then that's where we come in once the completed garment is done. We brand it and take it to market. Our mission is to bring hemp home. We are going to have a local North Carolina hemp t-shirt within a few years, hopefully, and so I'm on the hunt for it. I've learned a lot, met some very cool people in the industry, and so the moment we have North Carolina hemp fiber, we want to bring it to the market, and so that would be a really big goal because you know, that's true restorative economics.
Mending is the act, if we're talking about textiles and apparel specifically, it's the act of taking a textile that has been worn away in some spots, or it's been stained, or you're missing a button, or you have a big hole, and you're taking some kind of thread or another textile and using that to patch up that hole and reinforce it so that the garment can be continued to be in use, essentially. There's a lot of different ways to do mending. There's visible mending, which is when you're intentionally making it look like it was fixed, so it has a decorative patch, or maybe you're tie-dyeing it and then patching it and sewing it with colored thread. And then there's also sort of invisible mending where you're fixing it in a way where you never knew that something happened to it. Visible mending is kind of like you're adding a little story to your garment. It's kind of a project turned into a business that really is focusing on extending the useful life of clothes. So there's a three-pronged approach to that. So I'm doing mending and alterations, community engagement through educational workshops, and then collecting and sorting clothes for clothing exchanges. So it's really focusing on getting people to foster that connection with their closets and understand that you can keep things and revitalize them through learning new skills or paying people to do that service for you. A really easy way to, if we're specifically speaking about getting rid of clothes that you don't want anymore, like the easiest thing you can do is host a clothing exchange with your friends at your house and just have everyone come over and bring stuff that they don't want, and then you can all trade, and then whatever nobody wants, then you can take it to donate it. Sustainability is being able to produce things in a way that don't compromise the environment now or for future generations, while still being able to maintain a business model. And the three pillars are people, planet, and profit, and in that order. So you're focusing on the people and the planet before you're focusing on your profit, but they all need to work together, and it's a part of the framework that's called the triple bottom line. I think we should be finding ways to directly reuse the things that we have before even thinking about taking it to be recycled somewhere. So I think recycling is a solution, but it's a really energy intensive solution that, it's still when you're recycling a garment, circular recycling it into a new fiber or yarn, it basically has to go through the entire textile processing chain again, which is, adding CO2 to the environment. It's still using electricity, you're still using water. So those steps can be avoided for longer if we find other ways to reuse our stuff or fix it.
I'm Alexandria Monet Taylor, but I go by Alexandria Monet. Orthodox Vintage is an oasis for vintage and secondhand, and it's kind of a home and a community for vintage and secondhand to be affordable and accessible. We serve a variety of clothing, so menswear, women's wear, streetwear, formal, everyday wear. There's something for everyone, but mainly and all for the thrift community and the lovers, and educating people on that. I grew up in a black middle class family in New Haven, Connecticut. That's where I'm originally from. And secondhand to my family was a no-no. It was like, it was frowned down upon as if my family couldn't afford the good stuff. I got that, and I understood that like my grandmother raised me for the most part, and I understood that like it was something she didn't care for. However, my grandmother is a socialite and really stylish, and so I watched the way she put things together. And so I would literally save my bus money, because we had to take city buses to school, and I would save my bus money and walk to school so that I can go to the thrift store after school. And I was sneaking pieces of clothing in my house like every week. I would put in my book bag and go upstairs in my room. And then eventually I had too many pieces for her to not notice, right? So like she was buying my clothes, she was doing the purchasing. And one day my grandmother stopped me and she was like, "Where did you get that?" It was a blazer, a hot pink blazer that I still have to this day. And she was like, "Where'd you get that?" And I was like, the thrift store. That moment opened the door for me to tell her that I've been saving my bus money and going to the thrift store. And she wasn't mad, because she loved the way I put it together. And she was like, "Okay, is this where you prefer to shop?" And I was like, "Yes." And so she started giving me a weekly allowance to go get a piece from the thrift store, and I didn't have to hide it anymore, and it was really great. And yeah, my grandma supported my, I guess, odd fashion choice at the time of like wanting to shop at the thrift store versus the mall. 95% of all of our clothing is hand sourced and selected, and I really take pride in that because I feel like it curates a very specific kind of energy with the clothing and with our customer. We opened Unorthodox almost 2 years ago. It's a collaboration between my women's company, which is She Thrifty Apparel, based out of Durham, and Sir Chance's, which is owned and operated by Julian Jacobs. One thing that I'm noticing as I run the store, own the store, talk to people who are really interested in thrifting and like secondhand, is they feel like they can't afford it. And that's something for me that really bothers me, because I feel as though curated spaces like vintage stores don't have to be much different than a donation-based thrift store. I get it, you're doing more work and you know the value of the item, but we're not in it just for the dollar. We're in it so that people have the option for vintage and secondhand to be accessible and affordable to them. That's the thing about circular fashion. You are able to love and re-love something. And let's say I'm done with it. I get to give it to you, and you get to love and re-love it. That's what circular fashion is, and I think that that is what we need to do. The environmental impact, fast fashion versus buying what's already here, is astronomically different. We have access to years and years and years and decades of story times and people's uniqueness. Fast fashion is strictly made on trends. People shop that way, but that's not how people live. You don't live your everyday life based off of what's popular. You go in your closet, you buy things and you wear things that you know are able to like move you from day to day. That's what you're getting the most wear out of. So secondhand is accessibility, it's every day, it's your life, versus buying into something that is for the moment. And I think that if we could speak about that more and kind of change the narrative of that more, like what's more important, the moment or the next 10 years. And to me, I'm always gonna choose the next 10 years.